Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare.
I'm going to sing this song to Lord Chaitanya. So after I sing first.
Where you want to go?
In order justice. Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Kesobha Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Kesobha Chanavikatavani Jagamanalobha Chanavikatavani Jagamanalobha Jake Nitai Chan Vame Gadadara Jake Nitai Chan Vame Gadadara Nimasane Vase Ate Gauranchan Ratna Simasane Aroti Korenga Brahma Adi Devagane Aroti Korenga Brahma Adi Devagane Narahariadi Kore Kamaladulaya Narahariadi Kore Kamaladulaya Sadigaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Sadigaya Ganta Baje Ganta Baje Baji Karatala Ganta Baje Ganta Baje Baji Karatala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Baho Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Ujvala Baho Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Ujvala Gala Desvana Mala Kore Jalamala Gala Desvana Mala Kore Jalamala Shiva Sukha Narada Remegata Gada Shiva Sukha Narada Remegata Gada Bhakti Vinoda Dekhe Gaurara Sampada Bhakti Vinoda Dekhe Gaurara Sampada Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastatari Satarine Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi, Gaura Bhaktavedanta. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavedanta. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. prayers. After each prayer you can say Jai, you can pray obeisances. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Pairajakachaja A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Pairajakachaja Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananti Koti Vaishnavinda Ki. Namachar Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Sakar Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki. Shishi Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Maipur Vrindavan Dhama Ki. Nila Chala Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Ganga Devi Yamal Devi Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki. Nitai Gaur Pramanandi. All glories to humble devotees, all glories to humble devotees, all glories to humble devotees, all glories Shri Guru and Shri Gaur and Guru Prabhupada. So we're going to sing Nashinga Deva's protection.
Namaste Narashimhaya. Pralada Ladadaine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishimha Parato Nishimho. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishimho. Bahir Nishimho, Hidaye Nishimho. Nishimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamalavale Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hale Jaya Jagadisha Hale Jaya Jagadisha Hale Adbhuta Shringa Shavadita Narahari Rupa Jagadisha Hale Jagadisha Jaya Nirishimhadev Jaya Nirishimhadev Jaya Nirishimhadev Jaya Nirishimhadev Jaya Pradhanmara Jaya Pradhanmara Jaya Pradhanmara Jaya Pradhanmara Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Lord Nishimadev Bhagavan ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gola Premanande. So Prashadam will be served, and there will be as well a Bhagavad Gita class in the temple. It was not. I didn't speak.
Haribol. So I'm going to start my Mangala-charana. Haribol. And give me one of these seats just to put the stuff on. Thank you. Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vande aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Padam Bojau Radha Madana Mohanam Divyahat Brindaranya Kalpadrumada Shriman Ratnagara Singhasanastau Shri Shri Radha Srila Govinda Devo
Keshtalibi sevyamano smarami. Shriman rasa rasarambhi vansivatat tastitaha karshan venu svanair gopi gopinatha shriyestunaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thanks. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanacha Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanacha Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Shakara Krishna Prishta Bhutala Srimati Hridayananda Das Goswami Namaste. Namaste Guru Hasa Paramana Praitasi Prabhupada Pramada Adishtastantanashni. Is this good? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalaka Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Today we are reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 1. The opulence of the Absolute. I think we all have Bhagavad Gitas, no? Do you want the Bhagavad Gita? Oh, you have it there. Okay. So we can chant line by line, and then everyone can take turns to lead. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Huya eva mahabhaho Shrinu me paramam vacham Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Huya eva mahabaho Shrinu me paramam vacha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Huyameva mahabaho Shrinu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Huya eva mahabaho Shrinu me paramam vacham Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya. Would you like to try to lead? No? Okay. Would you like to try to lead? No? Okay. So we'll just do a verse, word by word. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Huya, again, Eva, certainly, Mahabaho, O mighty armed, Shrinu, just here, Me, my, Paramam, supreme, Vacha, instruction, Yat, that which, Te, to you, Aham, I, Priyamanaya, thinking you dear to me, Vakshyami, say, Hitakamyaya, for your benefit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, given knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Purport. The word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parashara Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now, in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, in the previous chapters, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Hridayananda Das Goswamini Tinamine Namaste Guru Hasaya Paramananda Vedase Prabhupada Pramodaya Dushta Siddhanta Nashine. Hare Krishna. So we have just read the first verse of the chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita called The Opulence of the Absolute. And so here are some few important points that Srila Prabhupada brings about this verse. The first one is Bhagavan. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha means the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. So this Uvacha is the word meaning said, and the word Vachaha is mentioned again when Krishna says, Shrinu me paramvad Vachaha. Hear my supreme words, or my supreme instructions. So this Vach, or Uvacha and Vachaha is the same word, meaning speech, or instruction. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead says something, this is very special. This is a very special person, the Supreme Person, who is one among many, and who is the source of everything, source of all opulences. Srila Prabhupada mentions Parashara Muni, who has given the definition in the Vishnu Purana of what is God, or what is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm not sure. I think in other religions, how the Supreme is talked about, like omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent, like that. However, the Vedic scriptures is unique because we have so many very detailed descriptions, starting with definitions. And everything is very systematic. So, first of all, when we're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the definition given in the Vishnu Purana by Parashara Muni is the Supreme Lord is full of all 6 opulences. So the Aishvaryasya Samagrasya, Aishvarya, which means riches or wealth. Virya means strength. Yashasa, fame. or influence, Shriya, beauty, Jnana, knowledge, Vairagya, renunciation. So these are 6 bhagas, or how we're translated as opulence, or something that's very attractive. And even in this world, when we see some person possessing any of these opulences, they become very attractive. If someone is very strong or rich, nor maybe nowadays like some sports people, because they can show off their strength, and it can be quite impressive. Then people want to see them, and therefore they become a very good business. So then, therefore, they become very rich as well and famous. And very often they are also possess some beauty, because some of these opulences are generally because of good karma someone has incurred in past life, and therefore in this life they have possessed these opulences. So these are opulences that come from the Supreme Lord. And often some people as well, they become so impressive, so attractive, that they call them, God is coming. So people are naturally reacting to these qualities that are seen in some persons, in some prominent persons. But there is one person, you can imagine, if one person possesses all of these in complete samagrasya. This is the word is samagra, means completeness, completely possessing all of these opulences. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can just imagine how attractive he must be. So Shri Krishna is speaking, the Bhagavan, the Supreme Person who has all the opulences. He is speaking on this earth. He's descended on the earth, and he's giving the knowledge. He's giving the instructions to Arjuna, who is playing a part of us. So he's actually talking to us, Supreme Lord. And he says, Bhuya. Bhuya means again. So this is the already 10th chapter, and Srila Prabhupada mentioned that since the 7th chapter up to now, Krishna is explaining his opulences. Srila Prabhupada said, previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. So why is it important to hear about Krishna and his energy? Krishna himself is explaining about himself. And why is this important? Why the Lord comes down? So he comes down to give us the knowledge by which we can actually return back to the spiritual world where we belong, from this world of repeated birth and death where we don't belong. And it's very simple, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his class that he has given in March in 1973 on this verse. I believe it was somewhere in India, in Bombay, that Krishna consciousness was supreme, this supreme knowledge, the supreme confidential knowledge that the Supreme Lord is giving us is very simple. And that is that Krishna is source of everything. He is the supreme, the ultimate enjoyer, the ultimate proprietor, the ultimate control of everything. And we are his part and parcels. We are also part of this supreme absolute truth as his parts and parcels. And we are his eternal servants. This is a natural, if someone is very great and we are very small, natural way of relating is to surrender to him, render service, establish our relationship, which is our eternal relationship with the Supreme. So it's very simple. Once we surrender to Krishna, sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam reja aham tvam sarva papigya mokshayishyami. I will deliver you from all your miseries. Just surrender to me. So it's very simple, but at the same time, it's very difficult. So when Krishna says sarva dharman parityaja, give up all the dharmas. So we have come to this material world to do just the opposite, to try to enjoy, to try to control, to try to own, to be, for us to be that supreme center of attention. And it's not working. So all the dharmas actually that Krishna is saying, sarva dharman parityaja, or the dharmas that are described in the Bhagavad Gita as, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as cheating dharmas, which means the religion, the different religious processes that people practice is basically to gain something in this material world, to gain some of these opulences that actually come from the Supreme Lord, to be themselves that, in a way, because unless the religion or our effort to in a spiritual way, in our effort to approach the Supreme Lord, is pure and free from the motivations to get something back for ourselves, unless this is only to actually render devotional service or offer our love to the Supreme and gratefulness, then that sort of religion is the religion that Krishna says that should be given up, because it's entangling. Throughout these chapters where Krishna explains his opulence, he also intermittently and comparatively describes these other efforts and makes a comparison. What does the person who is aware of the supreme opulence of the Lord, who is the source of everything, and the person who is not aware of that, who is in essence absorbed in the materialistic consciousness. So in order to actually be really fixed in consciousness, in the knowledge of the Supreme, Krishna says, bhuya. Bhuya means again. Hear again. So we need to hear again and again about this very simple fact. It's very, very simple. But somehow, like, I don't know about you, but at least for me, I just tend to forget. Every day we wake up, we kind of forget who we are. And, like when we wake up, we kind of remember, who we are, what we're supposed to do. And certain things about maybe our past, things that we've accustomed to think about, or about ourselves, or about the world, kind of keep playing as a tape, but not Krishna conscious tape, that I'm eternal servant of Krishna. So we actually need to hear it again and again, these very simple facts. And as soon as we hear about Krishna and we establish our consciousness in this relation and we surrender to Krishna, we become happy. I don't know about, I'm sure all of us have this experience. That's why we keep coming again and again for more of this wisdom and experience, because the soul can actually never be happy in the material world, because this is just not our nature. So Srila Prabhupada says, the more one hears about the Supreme Lord, the one becomes fixed in devotional service. So it's important, this hearing is important. And Prabhupada explains this, one should always hear about the Lord in association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. So this is also explained in the Nectar of Instruction by Srila Rupa Goswami. There are 6 ways of loving exchanges between devotees, and one of them is guhyam akyati prichati. So in the chapter 9 in the beginning, Krishna says, guhyam uttamam. This is the confidential knowledge. And the spiritual knowledge of Krishna and spiritual life, this is the confidential knowledge. And this is what is referred to when Srila Rupa Goswami says guhyam akyati prichati, inquiring confidentially and explaining about these different topics. And he didn't really mean like confidentially sharing gossip or something, so that's not the confidentiality that's been talked about, but it's the confidential spiritual knowledge. So we have this knowledge about the soul is the confidential, knowledge about attaining the Supreme is more confidential, and the most confidential knowledge is the knowledge about bhakti, devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that what is the qualification of actually sharing this most confidential knowledge is among the people who are actually anxious to be Krishna conscious or eager to be Krishna conscious, and others cannot take part in such discourses. So, and another qualification is, as Krishna explains in the verse, priyamanaya and hitakamyaya, that because you're dear to me, Krishna says to Arjuna, I'm giving you this knowledge, this paramam vacha, these supreme instructions, and hitakamyaya, for your benefit. So these words are significant because they're describing the exchange between the guru and the disciple, that Arjuna has already surrendered to Krishna as a disciple in the beginning. Shadhimam tvam prapanam, please instruct me, I'm surrendered unto you. So, and also in another place, Krishna explains to Arjuna what's the method of actually understanding this supreme confidential knowledge. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanena tattva darshina. So those who are in knowledge, they will enlighten you with this knowledge. And pranipat and sevaya, by surrender and service, we approach the Guru, and he will then we will naturally become dear to the Guru, and naturally he will be inclined to reciprocate with such a disciple who is showing the eagerness to be Krishna conscious. So this is why, that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, that these discussions can take place among those who are eager to learn about Krishna consciousness, and also what is our system, what is the system to actually understand the spiritual life is through the disciplic succession and approaching the bona fide guru, or sadhus as well, gurus who teach spiritual knowledge in disciplic succession. So it is an exchange of love, as you can see, as Srila Rupa Goswami also described. Guhyam akyati prichati is one of the ways to actually loving exchanges among devotees. to actually share and give this confidential knowledge, inquire confidentially. So I wanted to read because Krishna says again, and Prabhupada described it from the 7th chapter, Krishna started talking about his opulence. So I would just like to read a few verses from those 3 chapters that describe Krishna's opulence. So 7.4, if you like to open and follow. Earth, water, I'm just going to read the English translation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separate material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these 2 natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the solution. O conqueror of a well, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on thread. O son of Kuti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in the ether and ability in man. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penance of all ascetics. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas. Know that all states of being, be they goodness, passion, and ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for there, on the contrary, are within me. Deluded by the 3 modes of nature, the whole world does not know me, who I am above the modes and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered it to me can easily cross beyond it. Then we're moving to 7:17. It's talking about the devotees. 7. Of these, so he's explaining different devotees who approach Krishna, and of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect goal. So this is just the importance of actually hearing about Krishna and being absorbed in knowledge of Krishna, hearing about Krishna's position. Because in this way, just like Srila Prabhupada mentions and Krishna says, one who is in knowledge and surrenders to Krishna in this way, they are the best because their devotion is fully fixed in consciousness. So, in the chapter 8, continuing, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the greater of all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated in him. So these, Krishna mentions these in many different places up to now, starting from chapter 7. And in this chapter, Krishna Krishna will talk more about how we can actually meditate on him, how we can know who Krishna is. And just by listening to these again and again, like Bhuya, we will have devotional service more firmly established in our consciousness, and it will be very easy to surrender to Krishna. And like he said, it will be very easy to cross over the modes of material nature or this material energy. Okay, so now we've covered everything that Srila Prabhupada's mentioned, and I'd like to ask someone to maybe make some comments or realizations or any questions that they have. Anybody? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the nice class. In chapter 9, the Lord speaks about how he's giving the most confidential knowledge.
Okay.
But here it said that I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I've already explained. So how can we understand this, that what is better than the king of education?
Well, Paramavacha, Srimad Paramavacha, Krishna says, hear my supreme words. So it's not necessarily that would mean better than what I already explained. Srila Prabhupada translated, I'm giving you what is, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. It's a very good question. So Srila Prabhupada's... well, I think we'll just go to Srila Prabhupada's purport and try to find what Srila Prabhupada wanted to make with this point. He says, in the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. So to me, this is how I would understand that what Srila Prabhupada meant is that in the chapter 9, Krishna explained his energies, how his inconceivable energies are working under his supreme supervision, how he's source of everything, how he pervades everything, and at the same time he's transcendental. And he is actually not part of this world, but at the same time everything is, his energy is emanating from him. So these are inconceivable energies. But now, in this chapter, Krishna will explain more details, in more examples, how we can see Krishna and how we can meditate on Krishna in many different manifestations, in different opulences that we see around us, and to actually remember that everything that we see that's wonderful in this world, all the opulences are actually manifestation of Krishna. So I would understand that when Srila Prabhupada is translating this, giving knowledge that is better than what I've already explained, he probably is referring to the fact that there's more details and more like practical instruction about how we can remember Krishna more easily. Because in chapter 9, Krishna explains about his inconceivable potencies, and he's using a lot of this sort of Upanishadic ways of describing. contradictions of the Supreme. He is near and he's far. He is within everything and he's outside of everything. Everything is inside him and still he is not in everything, like that. So a lot of these sort of verses explaining Krishna's inconceivable nature. At the same time, we have, for example, Krishna gives an example of a sky, just like everything is situated within a sky or ether, and the ether is not, in a way, situated in everything, is aloof from everything. So he's giving that example for us to understand a little bit the principle of Krishna's inconceivable energies. But now Krishna will give examples how he's pervading everything and he's manifesting these different opulences in this world. So, I mean, this is how I would, and because these kind of meditations and view on the world, to actually see the world and understand how things are all connected back to Krishna, is part of this supreme knowledge. And when we can fix our consciousness in this way, then we will be fixed in devotional service to Krishna, who is the source of all opulences. This is how I would interpret what Srila Prabhupada is saying, because Srila Prabhupada often, in his translation, he gives ultimate conclusion. So Srila Prabhupada is not just translating books, he is giving the conclusion of the parampara, he's giving the conclusion, the siddhanta. And that's why Srila Prabhupada is the Acharya. Acharya is giving us the conclusions of the Shastra. So sometimes, I don't know, there are discussions, Prabhupada's translated this in such a way, it doesn't say that in the verse. But actually, because Srila Prabhupada is the Acharya, he's not a translator. So Srila Prabhupada is given the siddhanta, the ultimate conclusion. So thank you for your question. I think it's a very good question, and I would answer it in this way. Yeah. Someone else would like to say something? Yes, Prabhupada. And Krishna, yes. Krishna says when in the chapter 7, when Krishna lists 4 kinds of people that approach me, and he concludes that all of these souls are actually great souls. So just the fact that we've come to Krishna is a very good news, very, very big step. To, for whatever reason we come. There is the verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that says that for whatever desire we have, we should come to Krishna. So even if we have all the desires, if we come to Krishna, we will gradually become free from these. We will gradually become purified. And I mean, in my experience, Krishna is very kind, and he helps us to actually get rid of this different motivation by showing us what they are, what they are, So I think if we try sincerely to endeavor in devotional service and understand, Krishna, I'm your eternal servant. I've got all the desires. I've come to this world. And I think for me also, it's very beautiful, for example, to read some of the prayers of, let's say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sharanagati is very beautiful about surrendering the process. And it's just, like the acharyas, they have just given us all on a plate, on a golden plate. So we can just follow in their footsteps by reading their prayers. Even Srila Prabhupada's, written some poems and prayers when he arrived in the West. So I think this is very good. We just follow the footsteps of their acharyas, and out of their compassion, they have just, in my language, we say, chewed it up for us. Like when someone just gives you everything on a plate, so you don't even have to chew. You just take it. So I think perhaps just read the prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sharanagati, so they start from humility. And then there's 6 different stages of surrender to Krishna. So Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Parityaja, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So surrender to me. So this Sharanagati means to surrender. And it starts with the humility. And the humility part is really just, opening your heart to Krishna and, kind of just asking for mercy, because we understand that we are powerless with, just being in this material nature, Daivi, here Shagunamai. Krishna explains that this actual material nature, we're like in the huge ocean, and we're like a tiny leaf in the ocean. There is really nothing we can do ourselves by our own endeavor. The only thing we can do is try to endeavor to surrender to Krishna. And then Krishna says, Daivi Hien Shagunamai Mama Maya Durateya, difficult to overcome. Mayam Etan Tarantite, the Maya will be crossed over by those who surrender unto me. Mam eva ye prapadyante, mayam etan tarantite. So those who surrender to me, they can very easily cross this insurmountable immaterial energy. So we are atomic in size. The soul is atomic in size, and Krishna's material energy is Krishna's material energy of the Supreme Lord, the divine. So, and we are under the clutches. We are under the Maya. Krishna Bulia Jiv Bhogavancha Kore Pashete Japati Adare. So this is Bengali. Not very good with Bengali, maybe. Bengali verses. But it says that we have given up shelter of Krishna, have come to this material world, and we've come under the clutches of the Maya. So every time we actually think, I want to, if we think in a materialistic way, that like we used to, we want to enjoy, or we kind of ride on the waves of enjoyment in the material world, and we are not really experiencing the happiness of Krishna consciousness. But we are having a different kind of experience of not really happiness, but enjoyment. There is a difference between happiness that comes from sort of like enjoying the material world, and happiness of Krishna consciousness that comes by serving Krishna. And it's like this comes from inside the soul. So when we kind of like enjoy this world, and we kind of start thinking ourselves as not being eternal servant of Krishna, we're actually in the clutches of Maya. So we just have to pray to Krishna to deliver us. And like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Anadi karama pale pori bhavarnava jale tori bare nade kyupai. So that's very powerful verse, which says that I'm falling in this ocean. So just like we're like little leaf on the ocean. You can imagine, like, ocean is so powerful, one of the most powerful things. And only who can deliver us? Only Krishna. So we're on the ocean of Anadi Karama Pale, of the eternal endless fruits of the karmas that we've done for who knows since the time immemorial. So Krishna says, Sarvatvam papam sarvadharma parityaja ekmamikam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I will deliver you from all of your pap, of all of your karmas. So that's Krishna's promise. And so if we have faith, Krishna says in chapter 9 as well, this is what are the qualifications to gain this spiritual knowledge, to get, we have to have some faith. If Krishna is giving us this knowledge, if the Supreme Lord is giving us the knowledge, if we are not faithful that this is going to help us, then, where are we? So there has to be faith in Krishna's words and the rendering service, non-enviousness, which means freed from, attempt to be freed from material motivations, and showing our sincerity. So Krishna will help us. So I think every time we approach Krishna, Krishna comes to us so much more. So Krishna is very happy to see the souls approach him back, because that's why he comes to this world. That's Krishna's mission. He comes in again and again. And Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Krishna, full of 6 opulences that we talked about, is Lord Chaitanya, who has given us the upay. Just like Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, Nadehi upay. Upay means, or the method. How I have no method or means to get out of this ocean. But Lord Chaitanya has given us the means, the chanting of the holy name. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. So it's amazing. Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, Kevala Ananda Kanda. This is the means that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda has given us to become free from these clutches of this Maya. Is Kevala Ananda is only bliss. So just by chanting Hare Krishna, we actually experience bliss, even if we come from the most miserable state. And if we take shelter of the holy name, we become uplifted. So this is amazing. So we just have to be counting our blessing and be grateful. So if we start our day like that, and take shelter of the holy name, and read for a few verses, and Bhuya again, hear about Krishna, and establish knowledge of Krishna and our Krishna consciousness, and and render service, and offer prayers like this to be protected and to stay in the shelter of Krishna's internal energy. Then, and make sure that we follow in the footsteps of the acharyas, then we should be fine. We have so much, we have so many blessings, so much Srila Prabhupada has given us. All the facilities that we can just come and become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And then just if you remember that, I think it's really amazing, and just be grateful. I'm just preaching to myself. Yeah. Somebody else? Yeah? Would you like to say something?
Thank you for the class, Marji. My question is about how do we, if we have to associate with non-devotees, how do we associate and engage with them?
How do we associate with non-devotees?
Yeah, in terms of if we have to, speak with them on, we can't speak on Krishna all the time. So how do we navigate in that sense?
I have friends, and many of them I don't share very much about my own affiliation, spiritual practices or whatever. I mean, this is how I understood. I remember when, I came to Krishna consciousness, I was very excited, and I told everybody about this amazing thing, that I've discovered. And then you realize people don't react in the same way, that they're not so excited like we might be. And I was surprised. I thought everyone will be so amazed to find out about this knowledge that there is something so much more beyond this life. And so eventually I realized that actually not everyone is ready to hear about Krishna consciousness. So in a way, and also Krishna explains the method here. If someone actually really wants to hear about Krishna consciousness, you can maybe, if you, for example, just are living in a temple and people know that you're living, your friends or whatever, so you come as a monk, and they know you're a monk. Maybe naturally they might be asking you. So they might maybe ask you some questions like, oh, why'd you do this and why'd you do that? They might not necessarily be actually eager to hear about Krishna consciousness. Like Srila Prabhupada says, these courses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. So if someone is not anxious to be in Krishna consciousness, you can't actually have a discourse about devotional service, isn't it? So when someone comes to the point of wanting to hear and wanting to actually know themselves, then you can give them a little knowledge according to what they want to hear. And so, I mean, even when we sell books, books find their way to souls that need to hear them. I remember when I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, all of a sudden, there's all these Prabhupada's books started appearing from, my neighbor and my best friend that we used to hang out for years, and he had the Krishna book on a shelf for years, and and then my flatmate, actually, she was like, oh, my boyfriend bought this book. I don't understand anything. I was reading about it. And I just visited the temple, and I told her, oh, I've been to this temple. And she's like, oh, is this? And she shows me this book. So when we are ready, when people are ready, somehow, if we keep on with our duties to distribute Prabhupada's books, and people will eventually ask, ask questions so that you can share as much they want to hear or they're ready to hear. Because if they're not eager, there's no, you cannot tell them about Krishna consciousness because they just don't want to hear it. So, yeah. This is what I would... It's difficult because at the same time, Srila Prabhupada also mentions in a class, it's one of the classes, that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that those are very dear to me who discuss this knowledge among devotees, who teach among devotees. But Srila Prabhupada says that devotees are even more kind, that they share this knowledge even among the non-devotees. So just like Srila Prabhupada, if he hasn't come to share this knowledge, we wouldn't be here. So this is just the mercy of the pure devotees of Krishna. So in a way,
if you just sell the books, that's already is a big step, you know. So you're just giving the books. So whenever anyone is ready, somehow if they come across Srila Prabhupada's books, they will be ready to hear. Yeah. Okay. All right. If we don't have any further, we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai. I don't know how to turn this off.